Hello again, my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal from Heart Musings with Crystal. And today I'm doing just a chatty, laid back journal catch up with me. First of all, I want to apologize for the audio, not the greatest. My bad. And also the video. I don't know why it came out so grainy. I went back and forth on scrapping the idea, but yeah, I stuck with it. Anywho, I'm playing catch up because I've been really bad at staying up to date in my Hobonichi cousin. One of the things I'll do whenever this happens is I will place sticky notes down on the day with a couple of things written down so that way I can be sure to write about it whenever I sit down. So yeah, I had a lot to say for this particular weekend. Not on the 9th, but the 10th. So I've mentioned it before, but I live in Germany. And yeah, my husband and I, we haven't really been able to do a lot of traveling because of COVID restrictions. So we've just kind of been trying to explore things in the general area. This particular weekend, my husband surprised me. He does this ever so often where he plans a day, doesn't tell me anything about it. He'll just tell me more or less what I should wear, like if I should wear comfortable shoes or if it's more of a dress-up date. And I'll get in the car and we'll just drive. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about him. And yeah, that's what he did this weekend. So I guess a little background information on me. I have this weird thing where like I make it a point to go to the zoo in every city I visit. I'm not sure when this started, but yeah, so I really like going to zoos. So he found a local wildlife park that you can walk through and you're actually allowed to like hand feed the animals, with certain animals as you go along. There aren't like exotic animals by any means, it's just like goats and donkeys and some reindeer, rams, but I had a lot of fun that day. I got to hand feed all these animals that I'd never hand fed before in my life. My favorite was this donkey who, as soon as he saw us walking along his enclosure, ran straight down to us and just carefully took the food from our hands with his lips instead of his teeth. It was absolutely adorable. And he like followed us all the way around the park, and my husband, he's a big softie, so he ended up giving like almost all of his like food to this donkey. Yeah, it was so much fun. They do like these really awesome like bird shows with falcons, but the weather wasn't that greatest that day. It was kind of cold and rainy, which wasn't bad. It wasn't like dreadfully cold or dreadfully rainy, but it was just, I'm beginning to see that that's a trend with the weather here in Germany. So it rains a lot. So yeah, and then I think the next show wasn't going to be until like 3 p.m. and it was noon, and we really didn't want to wait out in the cold for like 3 hours. So, since we live here, we're probably just going to go back at some point. But yeah, so they do these really cool shows. Actually walked by where they have the falcons, and they were just like sitting out in the open. Like they weren't in a cage. They're just like sitting perfectly still, like on their little like log stands, which I thought was like very cool. And they also had a bunch of bald eagles in the same type of, not like right next to each other, but like in the same area. The bald eagles were also just like out in the open. And I thought that was just really neat. I don't think I've ever seen like a bald eagle that close without like a plexiglass dividing or some kind of like a mesh wire cage. And then the wildlife park itself was actually also like up this, I don't want to call it a mountain, but kind of. It was like really, really high up. So throughout anywhere you were in the park, you had this really beautiful view of, just the countryside and these small villages. Like it was a very beautiful relaxing day. I had a blast. So if you're in the area, I think that's the name of the wildlife park there. I don't know how I'm not going to say it because I know I'll butcher it. But yeah, I suggest you guys check it out. It was like really fun and affordable, and I imagine it'd be a really great place for kids too, since, you get to hand feed these like adorable animals. I will say, what's funny is that they have all these like geese running around just like free. They're just like roaming. And if you know anything about geese, is that they're assholes. Like, geese are not the friendliest animal or bird. Like, they are just jerks. And it's funny because when we got there, one of the employees was like, "Oh, don't worry, like they don't bite, they just hiss." And it's crazy hearing a goose hiss. But anywho, so we're walking along and we get to a fork in the road and we need to cross, and there's just like a bunch of geese just like all grouped together blocking the path. And my husband just, confidently walks across, and I'm like, "Oh, hell no, like I'm walking around these geese. I'm not gonna walk through them." And as soon as he tried to walk through, one of the geese actually like lunged for him and like nipped at his ankles. It was so funny. Like, he's fine, but like we laughed about it for like a good 15 minutes. And I think it was like probably one of the best parts of that day. Just an asshole goose being a jerk. The day itself ended with we picked up dinner from Macaroni Grill. They have one on base. There's not one in Germany, I don't think. But we picked up dinner from Macaroni Grill, and he stopped on the side of the road on the way home because there was like a street, not like a street vendor, but there was a man selling fresh picked flowers. So I got to pick a really beautiful bouquet that is actually like still thriving right now. So like I filmed this on the 10th, it is now the 20th that I'm doing this voiceover, and yeah, the flowers still look beautiful. And it was really cute. That little vendor had a little Yorkie with him who just, I guess every time someone stops, the Yorkie jumps out of the car and runs up to whoever gets down because he wants to like see what's going on. The vendor said he was very, very nosy. It's just my kind of dog. But yeah, it was just a great, great day. Anywho, so yeah, the only other thing with having a lot to write about days, eventful days like this, is that there tend to be a lot of photos as well. And for me, I'm still trying to figure out like the best way to put photos down in a Hobonichi Cousin. I've already accepted the fact that the paper is going to show the indent. I tried to do like the peeling of the backing, but it's just like not for me because the photo itself gets real crinkly, and I just don't like how it affects the structural integrity of the photo so much. So yeah, and I think my biggest limitation is just the space in the Hobonichi Cousin. So you can see here that on the page designated for the 9th, I did not fill up the entire page with the day. I just used about a little over half. So this is something that I started doing. I don't have it very often in my journal, but I started doing this in the Hobonichi Cousin to help make room for the days that I have a lot more to journal about or a lot more ephemera to put down. So I kept the 9th very, very simple, very minimal. I wrote that with a new pen. I bought the Lamy Ion in the green color. I typically don't own aluminum, like metal-bodied pens, but I have the Pilot Pyrocon, I think that's how you say that, and I really, really do like the way that it writes, and I didn't mind the feel of the body of the pen as much as I thought. So when I saw the Lamy Ion in the green, I was really drawn to that emerald color. A lot of my fountain pens tend to be like in the teal, turquoise, green family. I noticed lately that I've been buying a lot of purple pens, and purple is not my color, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I bought purple pens. But anywho, so the Lamy Ion, it's a pretty heavy pen when it's posted, so Not a huge fan of that. And then the nib itself, even though it's a medium nib, it's kind of very a dry nib, which is not something I'm used to with the Lamy. Because typically Lamy nibs, at least in the ones that I've owned, have been like very smooth, wet riders. So I'm not sure if I just got like a faulty nib or if that's how this one's supposed to write. Yeah, let me know if you own the pen and what that looks like for you. I'm trying to love it. I think I'm going to switch out the ink in it and see if that makes a difference. I might go with like a wetter ink to see if that helps. I know Noodlers, I don't really own a lot of Noodlers inks because even though they have a wide color range, they are the absolute worst on Tomoe River paper. Not because of the performance, but just because it takes forever to dry. And I'm not about to wait like a long time to be able to close my journal. So just like, no. Yeah, so I don't typically buy Noodlers inks for that reason. But I do know that they have some pretty, I guess, well-known good inks. So maybe I'll do Noodlers. Diamine is my favorite kind of ink. I don't know, this turned into like my favorite inks, but I tend to typically buy a lot of Diamine fountain pen ink because they're very well-behaved inks. I think they have a very good color variety. So yeah, a lot of my favorite inks are Diamine and Pilot Iroshizuku. I think that's how you say that. Yeah, those are all very, very good inks. Well, everyone, we're coming towards the end of my video. I hope you all enjoyed this laid-back, chatty journal catch-up video with me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff. If there's anything in particular you want to see from me, feel free to leave it down below. I'm always up for suggestions. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.